Hello everybody, welcome back. It's Connor here, One Leeds Fan Channel, back with the second video of the day, the third video of the day. If you are taking into consideration Patreon, you can hit the link in the description below to follow your way to the Patreon army over there. Well over 200 members now. Shout out to all of you guys, YouTube members. The army is growing over there as well. Make sure you join, hit that button, link in the description below for all of those good things as well. Everybody, we've got a giveaway coming soon for all of your Leeds United merch. If you have ordered before, which I know a lot of you have on the channel, me and back four, you've ordered before, you get a 10% discount with your next order. Make sure you do so. Let's get into this evening's news. Leeds United. What is going on? Well, the 49ers, massive news when it comes to Leeds United stadium expansion. What do we all know? Well, we thought it was 55,000 seat stadium. There's been a lot of conversation, a lot of discourse, as we mentioned this morning, about Leeds United and how much can they actually get to when it comes to the stadium expansion. Leeds get back to the Premier League, and look, when we last got there, we were the 5th, 6th highest global sales when it came to club shirts in the world, which is pretty incredible when it comes to worldwide sales of Premier League shirts. Unbelievable. Leeds have got an insane fan base across the world, especially in places like Australia, America, Canada, and Scandinavia. So that's obviously a massive indication of when Leeds get back to the Premier League and when Leeds get it right, which we didn't have, in my opinion. It wasn't set in the right places when Andrea Radrizzani and Victor Orta took us up last time. You feel with the 49ers, they've got a real grasp on it, and the shirt sales is just one marker. It's one indicative thing of why Leeds are such a big club and why they need to expand that stadium from 37.8 thousand capacity to something drastically different. You have thousands of Leeds United fans who can't get to the game, who are willing to pay their hard-earned money, give their hard-earned money to Leeds United to get into that stadium, to travel length and breadth of the country, to get to Ellen Road, to pay that money, to pay that beer money, to pay that, fruit shoot money, pie money, and all that good stuff. Leeds United are missing out on something huge here. I genuinely believe, even if you extended it to 45,000 in the Championship, Leeds would pretty much fill it. I do believe that. Obviously, it depends on how the side are doing. That is a massive, massive thing that we have to take into consideration, because that is it, isn't it? Football fans are fickle. We all are. But when you're actually looking at the grand picture of it, Leeds United getting back to the Premier League, which could happen this season, might happen next season, who knows? But these plans are, we all know this anyway. This isn't anything new, but the plans are having to be put on hold until Leeds United get back to the Premier League. But apparently, according to iNews today, Leeds United are talking and in discussion and getting arrangements sorted. Negotiations are everywhere with Leeds United and shareholders within the Leeds United city, the Leeds city space, I should say, which is really exciting. Looks like this is something that is becoming a big plan. Now, I guess the common conversation that we've had around Leeds United and the stadium is, well, what comes first? If Leeds do get back to the Premier League, then you're looking at players. Surely, you're looking at players to come in and lots of money being spent on that. And you can't really separate the player negotiations, the transfer budget, to a stadium expansion. It's all in the same melting pot. It's all in a massive amount of money which the club have to expend. So when we are looking at players coming in, this is going to have to be a huge turnaround when Leeds United get into the Premier League. I think 5, 6, potentially even 7 players need to come in to thicken up the quality and just the general depth of the squad. Now, if you're talking about a stadium expansion almost immediately when Leeds get back to the Premier League, I mean, how on earth are we going to do that with balancing that money as well? I mean, maybe Leeds just take a bit of a hit on the transfers immediately to, obviously Jordan Miles is coming in. You've got Steinson there. You've still got Nick Hammond there. They might have to take a hit on it or be as shrewd as they can in the market where they pay less for more quality. But that's so difficult right now. Take a Moneyball approach, which we've seen from Brentford and Brighton. But we know that model takes years and years and years and years to build. It's going to be a really interesting period for Leeds if we do get back to the Premier League. But I think this is an interesting conversation because, look, even if we get to the Premier League next season, this needs to be something that we discuss on the channel. So what do Leeds do when we get back to the Premier League? Is this something that concerns you? I think it's not as much concerning because we're not in the Premier League now, and we might not be for years or whatever it might be. Hopefully it's going to be this year, but we're not in the Premier League right yet. So this conversation really can't elongate that much. But interesting, iNews have quoted that the stadium capacity that the 49ers are looking to get is 50,000. Now, I think this is a good number for Leeds United. I think in the Premier League, regular capacity, if they're able to get it right on the pitch, off the pitch, obviously, with all the all the staff that are in place that are hopefully going to be able to galvanise Leeds if we do there. I keep having to say that if word because we're not there yet. If we are able to get there that right, then it'll all intertwine, it'll all work into one another, really. And I think that'll be a really beautiful thing. But 50,000, I think that's perfect. I think Leeds would get that week in, week out in the Premier League, personally. I even think if Leeds United were on a bit of a down ebb, a low ebb, I should say, I still think they'd be able to do that. And I still think that is the right number for Leeds to focus on. Now, I said 45,000 in the Championship earlier. I just feel that we would be on that Sunderland level, maybe not filling out the ground as much week in, week out. But I still think 45 tops for these big games, and if Leeds are doing well, would be sold out, to be quite honest with you. But 50,000 feels like the smart number for me if we are to get to the Premier League. I think Leeds will be able to fill that pretty much week in, week out, and you probably get more fans wanting a 55, 60,000 seat stadium if we're playing your Liverpools, your Man Uniteds, Chelseas, etc. But I presume that the 49ers would be looking at expanding it again. There's a lot of expansion around Ellen Road. There's a lot of development that can be done, and there's definitely plans to have that happen. But it's interesting how iNews have said today that Leeds United are talking to shareholders within the city, and that magic number is 50,000. What do you guys think? Do you think that's too less? Do you think that's too much? Could Leeds fill that week in, week out? I'm fascinated to hear what you think. The next thing that I wanted to speak about on this evening's edition is Jadon Anthony and the piece of the pie, the piece of the puzzle that this guy is right now. We know that Dan James is going to be out probably for the rest of the season. I mean, he was on gas and air. He was pictured on gas and air, and there's been murmurings that he's going to be out for the QPR game, but is he going to be fully ready, fully fit, even touch wood, this doesn't happen, but for a playoff campaign, who knows? If he's busted his ribs, it might be difficult. We need to know the extent of that, of course. But it's a really, really interesting period for Leeds United in terms of, well, what do they do? Well, what do you lose with Dan James? You lose pace, you lose a little bit of dynamism. And I think him coming on in that 70th minute is something that it's a really extravagant option for any club in the Championship. There is an argument that even in the Premier League, a bottom 5, 6, 7 club would want someone like Dan James off the bench. You look at his record this year, he scored 13 goals, numerous assists. I'm not 100% sure right now that Dan James, we've just been speaking about the Premier League, would be a starting option in the Premier League. But after the season that he's just had, do I think that he will be able to fit into a substitute ranking? 100%. Now, overall, we look at the players that can replicate that speed, replicate that agility, replicate that impact that Dan James has. I'm looking at two men. I'm looking at Matteo Joseph, and I am looking at Jadon Anthony. I think Jadon Anthony has been really, really unlucky at Leeds United. What do we know about him? 4 starts at the beginning of the season for Bournemouth in the Premier League under Iriola. We know that in the season previously when Bournemouth have been in the Championship, he's got 16 goal contributions, really evenly spread when it comes to goals and assists. He's been a key part of their side, and they didn't want to sell him. And if you'd have seen Jadon Anthony before, you'd have thought, okay, yeah, he's Bournemouth, he's Premier League, he's not going to be loaned out. He was loaned out to Leeds United. Obviously, we know he's going back to Bournemouth at the end of the season. They clearly feel that there is a home for him there. We know he's not going to be staying on at Leeds United, but is this the ace card that Daniel Farke now has to throw down, really? We all know that when Anthony plays, Anthony performs. I've always said this, I think the kid is criminally underrated, but the reason he's underrated is because he's not had as many minutes. He's not been exposed. We saw Daniel Farke bring him on in the 86th minute the other day. That ain't good enough. It ain't good enough for someone of his quality, his caliber. Now, I'm not saying he has the injection of speed, but agility-wise, I think he probably matches maybe Dan James over a shorter distance, over a longer distance. I think Dan James is absolutely rapid, as we know, and he increases his speed from that 5-yard point, really. But skill-wise, technician-wise, we know that Jadon Anthony can provide. Now, what's the problem? Well, he likes to function on the left-hand side. Who else likes to function on the left-hand side? The best player in the division, Chris Somerville. So what would need to happen there? Is there any point where Chris Somerville, we've seen over the past month that he's dipped a little bit. So, I mean, we saw the other night how mesmeric he was and how brilliant he was and how he dragged Leeds United through. You can't take him out. You can't take Willian Yonto out. You can't take Jorginho Rutter out. However, Jadon Anthony, supplemented by someone like Matteo Joseph, coming on, if that is the option, is the artillery you need. And there is an argument that Jadon Anthony technically should be coming on ahead of Dan James anyway in certain games. So we're looking at a QPR side now where they are likely going to be playing, and we're going to get into this tomorrow, everybody, but they're going to be probably sitting back. 2 banks of 4. That's probably what we're going to see. Lyndon Dykes probably following Eli Gruev around the pitch. As I say, we've got an extended preview already out on Patreon, guys, if you want to check that out, link in the description. However, overall, what's probably going to happen is they're going to sit back. They're going to soak up, and they're going to see what Leeds has to offer. Marty's been excellent when he's gone in the QPR manager, and he's been very, very good against big teams. Once again, something that we're going to get into. However, when they have that 2 banks of 4, Jadon Anthony is someone different. He's someone who could unlock that back 4. He's got a lovely delivery on him, I feel, from that left-hand side. Probably better than Crysencio Somerville in terms of just delivering the ball into the box. And that is definitely a different option. You've also got that pace supplemented by the injection that Matteo Joseph brings. So Jadon Anthony, has he just elevated himself in the pecking order? Obviously, he's probably not meant to do it, but this, for the last 2 games, could be an unbelievable farewell by Jadon Anthony to Leeds United, because he has the quality to fire us into those automatic promotion spots, no doubt about it. Guys, that's been it from me. Let me know what you think on the stadium expansion. 50, 55, 60. What's enough for Leeds United at any level? Let me know in the comment section below. Jadon Anthony, how important do you think he could be on the final run-in? It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you in a bit.